Hey, welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. As always, I'm your host, RJ, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host, Rob the Red Devil. Unfortunately, we are not joined by our other regular co-host, Scott the Gooner. As he said on Tuesday night, he's off in the country in some land far, far away from civilization and where there is stable internet connection. He does assure us that there will be some form of dial-in into the chat, so we'll just have to see how true to his word he will be. But Rob, you're here, mate. You've made it, so let's focus on you. How you going?
Good, man. Good. Feeling good. Like I said, it's like since we last met, we've actually had a few exciting games of football, and we're just talking beforehand. There's actually, it's just two of us tonight, but there is quite a bit to get through. So yeah, excited to talk about it. Just a quick mention. Anniversary for Sir Matt Busby today. This day in 1994, he passed away. So a true legend of a United legend of the club. So I just wanted to put a little notice in for that.
Well said, mate. Well said. And look, from my perspective, plenty of great action on the field as well. Not so great results for us Chelsea fans, but just being a pure footballing fan, it's been an exciting couple of days, and I'm looking forward to unpacking them with you. But there's also been a lot of drama off the field as well in terms of transfer talk, a bit of chaos amongst the clubs in terms of those going through a bit of a rough patch. So it's always an exciting time of the year, but let's welcome a couple of people who have joined us for this episode. We've got my fellow Chelsea champion Dieter in the house. Always has our back and always promotes the brand. An undisputed legend. And here we've got all the way 1 million kilometers from planet Earth, Scott from Warren or some place he calls it. And we've got probably the happiest person amongst us so far, the Tottenham tragic, Martin. They did it somehow this morning. We'll get into it, of course, but you must be one happy Spurs fan. The Foxes did a Tottenham. That's all I'll say. They bottled.
I would have loved to have seen the live cam of Marty, just in those, not from 95 minutes onwards.
Oh, it was insane, honestly. But you know what? Let's dive right into that match because I watched it from pretty much the halfway point, and I thought, okay, this is a really exciting game from catching it there. And Tottenham were playing pretty well, and I had checked before at halftime, and they were making a pretty good game of it. And then all of a sudden, after the Foxes, they were in a pretty comfortable position. I'm not sure if you saw it before the goals, Rob, but at the end, Harvey Barnes had a chance to make it 3-1.
I heard the square or something.
Why didn't he just pass it? Just pass it. He went for the glory himself after the setup he did for Madison, but then he goes and plays the glory hunter, misses a simple square pass. Lookman, I think it was. He would have had the easiest of finishes, 3-1, all over Red Rover. Then we all saw what happened. Super sub, Bergwijn, good scrappy finish for the equaliser, which came 10 seconds from the whistle. And then straight after that, Leicester, amateur hour, they tried to go and pursue a winner. Tielemans. He passed it right to him, and as soon as Kane got the ball, I said to myself, I kid you not, watch this. Look at the acres of space. All it needed was the softest of touches, and what a pass that was, and what a finish it was. Dramatic as. Conte, gone ballistic. Yeah, what did you think of that, Rob?
Nah, look, exactly like you summed up pretty good. Obviously, I had the United game on the big screen, and when I had got the notification that it just went 2-2, I just chucked it up on my phone, said I might as well watch the end couple of minutes, and exactly what you said, he came off the bench, got that scrappy equalizer, but then as soon as they turn that ball over, you just it's normal. It's like in FIFA when you just hold the ball, kick the ball out, we'll take the point or something, mate. But what a pass from Kane! That's a beautiful defense split in pass again from Bergwijn. Had the pace obviously to beat his man, and you know what? The finish, man, that finish was harder than you think. After he rounded him, the angle.
Yeah, Schmeichel did well to cut off his angle, didn't he?
Cut off the angle, and then, like I said, there was still one or two defenders there that I thought, okay, they might clear this, but he just obviously kissed the post to go in. But mate, that's euphoric at the end to win the game.
Look at this biased Gunners fan in the chat. This guy here, I hope he's not a subscriber because they're lucky in terms of how they won it, but based on the overall ebb and flow of the match, they dominated every statistic, and they actually deserved to win in the end. So, you know what? I'm never going to back Spurs, but they were full credit to them because they never gave up. They didn't, and they deserve all
like
3
you're saying
points.
as well, for the top 4 push, mate, that is massive points from 5 minutes from having 0 points to 1 point to 3 points. That's massive for them. And away at Leicester is never an easy game as well. So credit to them for getting the points on the road.
Well, and you know what? Just on Leicester, because I feel quite sick praising Tottenham too much, but it's been the theme of their season, hasn't it? With Leicester, just their defensive vulnerability. We know that they can score goals, and they scored a couple of nice ones. There was a really nice couple of goals, but geez, that defense, they just leak so many goals. I don't know what's happening there. Rodgers has really got to get a grip on it because they're dropping too many points now. And it's not that they're in a dangerous situation in terms of relegation or anything like that. It's nothing, of course, of that dramatic nature, but they should be pushing higher up than where they are. But that defense is just absolutely tragic at the moment. But I'll tell you what's not too tragic is United bouncing back this morning, Rob. I know you're a pretty honest fan, and I'm sure you saw what Brentford manager Thomas Frank came out and said, look, De Gea was very important in that first half. We created a few chances, but unfortunately we didn't put them away, and on another day it might be a very different outcome. But like Scott, our co-host, likes to say, you create your own luck, and United, to their credit, they rode the wave. De Gea, being the IFT's goalkeeper of the season so far, he really showed his value. So let's hear it from you, mate. What did you make of United's performance?
Now, look, man, if you would have asked me this over the half time and full time, you'd get 2 different answers. That's for sure. The first half, I don't think we're bad. I just think Brentford were really, really good. They dominated everything in that. They were peppering De Gea's goal again. Some of the saves he made were just freakish, man. Like there was a few of them. I'm just going like, oh yeah, that's going to hit the back of the net. The amount of saves he makes with his feet is just crazy.
It's unusually large, isn't it? I feel like he's very good with his feet, better than his hands. Almost.
Very, very good. But they were just, like I said, we had some of the possession, like most of the possession, but we didn't have a shot on target to our 55th minute when we scored our first goal. So look, when the second half did come, we actually did come out and start playing a bit of football. And said, nice to work goal, nice cross. The touch from Lang in the finish was nice. Again, it was
that ball like from Fred, Rob. That was a nice ball, wasn't it?
Very nice, very nice. And like I said, after we got that, we kind of eased into the game. Obviously, when you go up, you have a little bit of pressure off. The second goal was beautifully worked, man. Like I said, the ball from McTominay, the chest pass from Ronaldo to cut out the defenders for the counter attack. Bruno Fernandes, great run. I actually thought he was going to be a little bit more selfish and try and finish it off himself, but exactly the opposite of the Leicester game. Squared the ball in a nice, quick finish, easy finish for Greenwood, 2-0 up. I'll quickly cover the little bit of the dummy spat from Ronaldo because I'm sure someone's going to bring it up.
Yeah, I actually wanted to get your thoughts on that because, like you said, he obviously was visibly very disappointed to come off, and I'll get to Tom's point in a minute that he made on Twitter, but at least he had an involvement especially for that, like the second goal, that chest. It was the pass before the pass, if you know what I mean. So for me, look, my outsider point of view was, who cares? Of course, he's not going to be happy to come off. He's got a winning mentality. It's not like he spat at him. Like, you know what I mean? He showed like any sort of really competitive player, like when Mason Mount was upset when Tuchel didn't pick him. He just wants to be on the pitch and scoring goals. So the media likes to make a storm out of a teacup.
100%, right? That's Ronaldo, bro. He's always been like that his whole career. He wants to be out there for 90 minutes. He wants to be out there for every game. He wants to score goals. It was 2-0 up. He gets the hook. He wanted to probably score one of those goals as well. So for me, it's just that's Ronaldo. He's got a winning mentality, and he wants to always win. He wants to score goals. So like I said, he's always going to have the shits when you're coming off, but. For Ralph said the same. Straight after the game, he said, "Look what happened midweek. We were 2-0 up. We didn't control the game, and we ended up 2-0." He said this week 2-0 up because I didn't want to make the same mistake. I bring on Harry Maguire. Went 3 at the back. He goes just to try and make sure we shore up the game in that aspect. We end up getting another nice goal for the third, which again Bruno Fernandes, another assist. And look, Marcus Rashford really need that for his confidence. A really tidy finish, to be honest.
That was very that was a very telegraphed sort of run and pass, wasn't it? Because they were so narrow, Brentford's defense. It's like they were obviously going to lay it off to him, but there was no pressure on Rashford at all. But it was a
100%.
very good finish, tight angle, but they just basically gave him the opening. I was very surprised by how easy that seemed. But
It was. Like I said, so 3-0 up, I'm thinking, oh, yes. And all I could honestly think of was you in my ear when we were doing a prediction the other night saying, oh, United's not getting a clean sheet. I'm like, yes, we finally got a clean sheet I can talk about. So now what happens? We have to concede a goal. But look, overall, the points is what matters on the road. You know, Brentford at home hasn't been an easy beat for a lot of teams. You know,
no,
we see what they've done to Arsenal.
I was scared for them.
You know, we've seen that, Mendy had a great game against them. So, look, all I wanted to do was get those 3 points. 3 goals was the bonus. We actually, like I said, they're all 3 nice goals at the end. We'll move on to West Ham at the weekend. So, yeah, I'll take it.
Well summarised, mate. But look, and just my thoughts on it. Yes, Brentford were the better side in the first half. United did well to weather the storm and 3 nice goals to put it away. And that's what often separates the haves and the have-nots in the end. But that's something that's a bit of a harsh lesson for Brentford and Thomas Frank, that it's not always about playing good. It's about being potent when it matters. And I know that's something that our team has really been facing troubles with in recent times. I noticed that Alex popped in the chat, mate. You snuck in just like Spurs in the last 10 seconds of that match. We did give you plenty of praise. We're not going to go too much on about it because, look, you got a very deserved win in the end, but can they keep it going? You've got a very big match coming up against a wounded Blues outfit. So I'd be slightly cautious of a bit of a bounce back, but it's going to be a cracking game. Just on Chelsea, Rob, so you would have seen our 1-1 draw. We all picked a win. It didn't happen. In hindsight, I do wonder, had I not properly considered just how good Brighton are, but equally, I wonder if I really had considered just how lethargic we've been, because I was expecting a bounce back. Obviously, I predicted a 2-0 win. But again, we scored first. Ziyech deflected shot, took Sanchez by surprise a little bit. But even after we scored the goal, there was no celebration. Everybody's looking very flat. They're looking just very flat. There must be a bit of a tiredness amongst the camp here. You know what I mean? There's no one's happy at the moment. They're more tired than anything. They just look out of their feet. And then Brighton, to their credit, they just kept knocking without being too dangerous. But that bullet header from the corner, nobody's tracking the run, and it was a very simple finish in the end. So we had no responses. We didn't have the right solution on the day, and I think that we really are missing those key players, and those that have been picked, they just look visibly run off their feet, and Tuchel had no answers on the day. So I did read a stat beforehand, which it's not the mitigating factor, but it is something to consider as to why we looked a little bit rusty. Aside from those not available, because Brighton have their own missed players, we've played 15 games compared to their 9 over the last month or so. So it's 60% more games you've been playing, the lack of rotation because of those that have been COVID affected on AFCON, blah, blah, blah. And I think those who we've been picking, they just haven't been taking their chance. And that's that front three problem for me. Lukaku's been getting scapegoated a lot. He's, like Tuchel said, rather than being part of the problem, he's meant to be part of the solution. But the problem is, you can't just rely on one player to bail you out all the time. Like Ziyech has got to be more potent. Mason Mount had a pretty quiet game for his standards. Kante and Jorginho, that was probably Kante's most tame effort I've seen him play. Like they didn't want to play any progressive passes. It was all very side to side and backwards. And then when you've got Azpilicueta and Alonso, you lose a lot of that speed up and down the wing. When you're comparing them to Chilwell and Reece James, it's just chalk and cheese. But what did you make of that game? Is it more Brighton were just good on the day, or were we just a little bit underwhelming?
Again, combination of both, man. It was actually an enjoyable game. Like I was enjoying, obviously, watching Brighton a little bit more at home. Again, they're never an easy beat, the Seagulls at home. But again, for me, I was someone after the game that kind of singled out Lukaku, and again, I'm only singling him out because it happens a lot with when you have a price tag, when you have, he's just come off a championship winning team with Inter. He's come in, he's talked up, I'm coming home. I want to do this, I want to do that. He hasn't delivered for me, and that's a big thing. And And that's it. I'm calling it how it is, and I'm only giving back not just you to all players that go for a big price, and then they don't step up. Obviously, for United, Pogba's a big one. He's still getting caught out. 7 years later after his big transfer. Lukaku is a number 9 striker, and he was bought for big dollars to score goals and to take Chelsea to fight for the to be contenders this year, especially.
At least reduce the gap, isn't it? At least get us up there.
And for me, he hasn't. I know no one. People pay what you have to pay, but he hasn't hit that mark at all yet. And I've said it a few times as well. I've seen other Chelsea people say, "You guys played better when he was absent." So I just look. I don't know. Like I said, if they've got to work together to make their own solution. But for me, Lukaku is just not happening at the moment, and you guys look a lot less better with him in the squad. So, look, that's a Chelsea problem. But look, Brighton at the same time were really good, and like you said, kept knocking on the door. And for me, they deserved the point in that game. They could have even gone on and won it. If they were having a go, they weren't sitting back. They're having a go at home, and they were trying to get all 3 points. And I think it was a much deserved point for the Seagulls anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. Just putting up some of the comments here about Lukaku and Chelsea's top 4 sort of aspirations. Now they're becoming aspirations. I put up a tweet after the game saying it's that December, January period again, because since the 4-0 win over Juventus, the same game where Chilwell and Kante got injured, they had basically won 3 out of 11 Premier League games. And same sort of thing last season when Frank Lampard's Chelsea at the time, 17 unbeaten, had that December, January period, and he got the flick pass. So it's still not panic stations for me in terms of top 4 type thing. Like, unfortunately, we're more in that conversation than any other conversation. But the reality is, and I've said this several times now, is I think the early season form, Thomas Tuchel's done a very good job in masking some of the deeper-seated problems, because for years now, between Maurizio Sarri, Frank Lampard, Antonio Conte, now Thomas Tuchel, all very different managers with all very different philosophies, bringing different players in. And each manager has tried to go and fix up and use the crop from the previous regime. And there's really no clear pattern or identity from the club in terms of trying to build a team for the long term. Yes, we mask it well by winning cup competitions, but any team can win a good cup competition. Just go ask Arsenal, and that's for you, Scott. But the reality is, for a 38-game season, Manchester City have shown that relentless consistency. You could see the style of play. It doesn't matter who's out. They've got a team that they've got their juniors mimicking the same style. So everybody, it's not a shock. So if a Chilwell gets injured, you've got a similar profile, like bringing like an Alonso. They're just chalk and cheese. So for us, it's just a reality check. The board's got to ask some hard questions of some of the investments we've made. Have they not worked out? Do you cut a loss? Because we've let go of some real young talent. Livramento, Tariq Lamptey, who played off the park the other day against Brighton.
Was very good as well.
You know what I mean? Like, we kept players like Alonso and Azpilicueta for short-term gain, but you get rid of those 2 superstars on the right in the wing-back position. So, again, Conor Gallagher, Billy Gilmore, Armando Broja now, we've spent $100 million on Lukaku because he's an A-list striker on paper, but you're letting go of someone to Southampton who's actually having a very good breakout season. So I do question some of the transfer strategy of our board and Marina as our director of football. But I also micro-analyze the players themselves, because put all the politics to the side, put all of the transfers and everything, there is enough good quality on the pitch when they're not playing every 2 days to be able to deliver better. And Tuchel's part of that as well, and that's why he's never shied away from acknowledging he's also got to lift his game. But there is an element here where sometimes you have to acknowledge you can't win every game. There are top quality teams. Teams are going to lose and they're going to get beaten from occasion. It's just about being competitive. And I'm thinking I'm losing a lot of that patience at times with some of those players that have been banging down the door, asking for their opportunity and not taking their chances when they're given. Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, for example, these are young players, not fatigue-driven, they should be dishing up better. And that's all I have to say. I'm just bringing up the table here for us, Rob. Man City, clear front runners, as we know.
Yep.
We've got Liverpool there, closely in second spot, or at least giving themselves a conversation of chasing down City, even though it's unlikely. But then from positions 3 down to, really 6, and even yourselves are in that conversation too. So it's becoming a real feisty battle for that top 3 and 4 spot. Any quick thoughts on that?
Look, man, from like I said, from you guys down to us, just the thing is, there's been no consistency. Just when you look like you're going to go on a 1-1 game, or you win a game or 2, and you go on, okay, we're going to go on a bit of a run here. Bang, speed hump from one of us, and it's normally an unexpected one as well. So, like I said, I said the other day, look, I don't see us. I can see us just missing the 4 and probably getting 5th or something. But when you look at how many points are on the paper to be won, anything can happen still. We've seen it before when a team gets stuck in the mud and they don't get out of it, and then there's another team that'll go on a 5-6 game run, and that can change very quickly. So look, again, we've got a hard game at the weekend. You guys have got a hard game at the weekend. Both that are going to be big deciders for the top 4 at the end of the season. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no, fair call. Just want to address some comments in the chat from Chelsea's situation about potentially sacking Thomas Tuchel, and I saw Scott bring up the comments about, again, that run your own luck sort of thing about loaning players out, injuries happen, COVID happens. Yeah, but also what happens, Scott, as you know, a lot of teams are getting postponement decisions too and getting an extra few days rest. And not to be salty, but we're the only team who so far hasn't benefited from that. And I think despite how deep or good your squad is, that's only a realistic assumption when not all of them line up at the same time. Again, it's about accepting that responsibility, but I can also understand how it's not Football Manager and these are people and not robots, so they're not always going to play at that same intensity. For me, again, not panic stations. If the club, I'll say it here publicly, I was upset when they sacked Frank Lampard, being my favourite player, because I thought that they didn't really give him any patience or tolerance because of the investments. But he said it at the time, this club isn't ready for competing for the title at the moment. Other managers had experienced similar. Thomas Tuchel's a very superior manager based on his experience, and he's done wonders in helping us win the Champions League. But even he is finding difficulties in trying to get this current crop of players to be at the same standard as Manchester City, being the machine that they are. But if they don't back Tuchel now, it really gives me even more doubt in how reliable and trustworthy the board is in terms of coming up with a vision. Because if you get rid of him, that's just, again, not thinking ahead, because who's better than him at the moment based on what you're working with?
That's what I think is crazy when I see the Chelsea fans saying that, even just talked about. I just don't understand it, man. You talk about money in the bank. If a Champions League's not money in the bank for a good year or a bit more than that, what else do you want, man? And like you said, Tuchel goes, who's out there that you're going to get that's going to better him at the moment anyway? You know what I mean? I think it's crazy.
I didn't know Tom was a comedian, but percentage on him going.
Tom's one of those people we talk about in the chat every year, where we talk about who's available at the end of the season, possibly for us. He goes, if you guys don't get top 4, you guys don't win the Champions League again. He goes, it wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea do sack him, and United would be happy to go in.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, crazy, isn't it? I think the club would be ridiculous if they were to get rid of him. The problem with our fan base, and not everybody, because how can we speak for everyone, but a lot of the online chatter and a lot of the sort of overreaction when you don't win a game because it's chaos is, for Chelsea, it's trophies or nothing. And that's the problem. The fan base has to sort of accept you've got Liverpool, you've got Man City, you've got good teams like Arsenal, you've got good teams like Tottenham, like Manchester United. There's a lot of competition out there, and success shouldn't always just be measured about trophies, because what you could have is a situation where we win the FA Cup, or we win the Carabao Cup, or we go deep into Champions League, but you're not making progress on the Premier League. And is that really what you want? If it's just about winning trophies, are you losing sight of the bigger picture, which is sustainable long-term progress? So sometimes it'd be interesting to know from Chelsea fans' point of view, would you accept not winning trophies for a season or two, but knowing that you're building a squad that's chopping down the gap to Manchester City because they're the ones who've dominated the last 5 to 7 years in the Premier League, and you're building a squad that's going to actually start taking them head on over the 38-game season rather than just winning those one-off games and then winning a trophy here or there. For me, I would accept that because I'm more about the long term. But some fans have just been so used to winning trophies that the thought of not bringing home some form of silverware is just a reality that they don't want to be confronted with. So I don't know. It's just a difficult one for me. But you know what? That's the week that was. And I think, Robbie, we've got a very big semi-final in the other EFL Cup. We've got Liverpool and Arsenal. What are your thoughts about that? And we'll get the live chat to tell us.
Yeah, shame Scotty can't be here to say his thoughts. But
you noticed he ducked for cover when there's a Arsenal game coming up.
There's still time for Arsenal to put a request in to get the game postponed, but we'll leave that for another day.
That's it.
This one's at the return legs at Anfield, isn't it?
Is it? I'll have to double check.
Yeah, because they got that draw at Anfield. They're at Arsenal's home ground. Sorry,
I thought so.
Because they got the 0 draw after the 10-minute send-off. That's correct. Look, again, I hate Liverpool, so I'd actually like to see Arsenal get through here. And I actually think there's after they weathered that storm after going down 10-0 at Anfield, getting the result and bringing that back home, I think they're in with a chance. And like Scotty said the other day, why not go for a full-strength squad here or put the best team on paper you've got available and go head-to-head with Liverpool and possibly get yourself into a cup final, a day at Wembley, and there'll be, a good derby between you guys and Arsenal if they make it. Again, I think the final it'll be a final cracker between Liverpool or Arsenal against Chelsea anyway. So all big teams going for their first piece of silverware. Look, I'm gonna put a tip on from Arsenal. I would like them to get over the line. 1-0 for Arsenal.
Look, that's fair. I'm going to address that. But I'm going to address it from EMAD. So I'm not sure if you heard the comments we made. Would I rather win the Carabao Cup every year, or would I rather be genuinely competing for the title? So that would be my measure of success, mate. And just on your other comment before about Scott McTominay, so Tom and I were talking about it offline, and Tom was very complimentary of McTominay. And I said, yeah, I think he's a good player, but I think he's got a fair few technical limitations compared to some of the other top midfielders in the world. But he's someone that you'd love to have in your squad because at least he's going to fight for the badge, and he has shown that he's a decent operator. And then I saw him as that I'm not going to hear any of that technical limitations. Everybody's got him, and he's the perfect footballer or something. So I'm like, okay, man, I don't think he's the perfect footballer, but I think he's a good squad player. So I just wanted to address that whole McTominay business, because there's one thing to be useful culturally and to be decent, but there's a whole separate thing to be a world-class midfielder that's going to drive you for the title. So in terms of now the Arsenal-Liverpool game, like Scott said in the chat, it's about trying to win trophies to help build your confidence. And for teams that aren't in that title-winning conversation, that's when winning trophies starts becoming a big measure of success. So I think there's more on the line for this for Arsenal than for Liverpool, because Liverpool still got the slight chance of winning the Premier League, but also the Champions League is a very, very real possibility for them this season. What do you think about that, Rob?
Well, I agree again, man. As I said, I could see Klopp maybe putting a half team out, or not his strongest team. Obviously, he's going to have his notable guys that are offered the AFCON at the moment. But like I said, I can see Arsenal going into this as strong as possible at home in front of their fans, knowing that they got a result at Anfield, so they've got all to play for this. And like I said, this could be maybe their only chance at silverware for the season, and a bit of confidence for pushing for that top four.
Alex is picking a slight win for Liverpool over Arsenal. I wonder if there's any Spurs bias coming into that tip. And Scott looks like he might be tipping with his heart slightly, but there's been a few shouts for Martinelli who's been good for the Gunners lately, so I wouldn't be too surprised. So it'll be interesting to see what the lineups look like, unless Liverpool come up with some false positives and Arsenal put the 11th hour fixture postponement. It could be the battle of who gets their fixture postponed requested first. Maybe that's the real winner for this conversation. But Premier League, we've got a few big games coming up before the international round. So I'll bring it up on the screen, Robbie, and we'll start to get some tips. I know Scott, was he going to send through his ones in the chat
so
as well?
we'll do ours and then he can send them in the chat so Daniel can record them.
Otherwise, we're just going to tip the roughies.
Exactly. We could have just given him the roughies or the away games, but we'll be fair. He's losing anyway, so it's all good.
Yeah, is he still in the top 3 or I don't know these days? Could be. Stir him up. Scott's a good sport. Hopefully, he can sit out on the screen now. So, Robbie, I'm gonna kick you off first. Watford, Norwich. It's at Watford. What do you think?
You know what? I'm actually going to go for the roughie in this game. I'm going to go for Norwich. I thought that was an impressive win they got on the weekend against, a very on the slope Everton, but still at the same time, I think that's a big win for them. And if they can put another win or get a result away again, and they're not 100% down yet, but they're definitely in the mud. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 to Norwich for this one.
Fair enough. Scott's going for a 1-1 draw here. So, look, I don't like to agree with Scott at the best of times, especially when he ditches us for some family trip out in the middle of Woodport. But I tend to agree with Scott here. I'm going to lock in a 1-1 myself. Everton, Aston Villa. I might get this one going just to get the ball moving. Everton, pretty woeful, I've got to say. I find it very difficult to tip them at the moment. And Aston Villa have got a little bit of a spring in their step. So with that, I reckon that they will walk away from Goodison with all 3 points via a 2-1 win. Robbie?
Yeah, I agree, except I'll go 2-0. I just think Coutinho and Luca Dean, 2 really good signings. Plus, they've got a few academy players through and they had a decent squad already. So Everton at the moment, they really are home and away are shocking. I know they've sacked the manager, they got Duncan in, but look, I don't see it. Every time he comes in, you can't get a bounce. So I'm going to go for a Villa 2-0.
Yeah, fair call. And from the live chat, we're getting a few tips for Villa. We've got Alex, Villa 2-0. Martin, he's going for Smokey. He's going for 1-0 to Everton. That's quite interesting.
Wow, that's massive.
That's a big tip. We got Dieta 3-1 for Villa. So I think for the vast majority, it's a Villa win. But Marty, you're being brave. I think that last gasp Tottenham wins maybe change your whole outlook on life and what miracles look like. So
I think between that and the Central Coast win the other night, I think he's living on a prayer at the moment.
He's on cloud 9, isn't he?
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh, well, that's going to come crashing back down to earth when they verse us, the Wounded Blues, which we'll get to it later. Brentford, the Bees that are stung versus the Wolves. This is going to be actually a very good match. Robbie, what do you think? You get it going.
Again, I agree with you. I think this is going to be a low-key smoky, but I think I'm going to go with the heart with this one because, look, I know we beat them today, but from the seasons, when the season started, that was the team I said, Brentford out of the promoted teams, I hope they stay up. And again, besides what happened today, I've really enjoyed them. What they brought to the whole Premier League, this season, and I'd like to see them stay up. So I don't know if they're good enough to beat Wolves because Wolves are still decent, but I'll go for a 1-1 draw in this one.
Yeah, Marty's got your back on that one as well, and I think Scotty also the trifecta of the 1-1 draws. As much as I'd like to see the Bees bounce back, there is something about this Wolves team that they've got, it's funny, they've got a stronger sort of resilience and mentality than what we do at the moment. There is something about this team, their unity and the way that they're coming together. I wouldn't be surprised if they pinch this one and take it in the end, and I reckon that they will get a 2-1 win. I'm locking in Wolves. It's a tough decision, but I think that they will get the 3 points for this.
Yeah, fair call.
Yeah, but another exciting match, the battle of the richest club in the world versus a very exciting team that had a very exciting win against West Ham the other day, Leeds United versus the Magpies. Now, for me, I'll go first. Very interesting match. Newcastle getting very desperate, obviously, but that win the other day of hat-trick to Harrison, I think that's going to give them a bit of a morale boost for the next few games. And I think that they'll win it, not comfortably at home, but they won't be under too much pressure. So I'll lock in 3-1 win to Leeds.
Yeah, look, I like that as well, man. I like that. I might go 3-1. I might copy it for that. And just quickly, boys, I know what's today, the 20th or something. So what is it, 10 days left of the transfer window. Everyone told me that Newcastle are going to go 300 million hard in January transfer. They're going to get their season, they're going to come out, spend all this money so they can save themselves. Look, I know there's still 10 days to go, but, there hasn't even been a lot of rumors. Like, I've seen a couple of rumors every now and then that, not even Fabrizio has come out and said they have a bit of traction yet. But besides what one or two players have signed to, Chris Wood, I think, is a decent signing for them. We didn't talk about it last week for Shano.
Yeah.
He's a proven striker in the Premier League. Is he going to save him? I don't know. Obviously, they got Trippier there. We all agreed that he was a decent thing. But everyone told me that from when they got bought, they're going to spend 300 million. They're going to be fine. I told you, for me, I'm still tipping them to go down. And look, I think Leeds will do them at home as well, especially with that good win against West Ham.
Well, it was breaking news that Newcastle just bought PSG. No, I'm just kidding. The whole club. But hey, you never know these days. Exactly. They bought Real Madrid as well just for a safety net. But it makes a good point where these star players coming from. But 10 days, you know how it's like for the last few days,
100%.
Especially in this crazy window. But in terms of this match, though, we've got a few tips. So Scott has gone for an entertaining 2-2 draw. Tom has got the tip of the round with a 4-4 draw, going to be chaos. Newcastle scoring 4 goals in a match. Now, that's an interesting tip. Marty thinks 1-0 to Leeds. Pretty conservative, but I can see where he's coming from. And my main man, Dietar, 3-1 victory also to Leeds. So, look, some interesting picks there. Your boys.
I think Ellen Road gets this over the line as well.
I agree. It's a bit of a spiritual ground, obviously, for them. But your team, Robbie. Now, was this result against Brentford a bit of a smoke and mirrors act? Because if you were just watching one half of it, not the second half, you might think, oh, these problems are still persistent. What's Ralph doing? But then we saw a lot of character in the second half. The question is, are they going to carry this through to West Ham, who they've got a lot to prove at the moment, because everybody's been very complimentary of West Ham and what Moyes is doing. But every time you get too comfortable with the Hammers, they've got that banana skin result in them. So how do you think this one's going to unfold?
Look, man, again, I've said all year or the last couple of months how much of a roller coaster we are. And every week it's just something different, or you just never know what you're going to get, as I like to say, Mr. Forrest Gump quote. Look, we're at home, and a win this week would be massive for, like I said, I think we've got a game in hand over West Ham, and I think we could just possibly jump them if we do win. We have to get a result out of this game. We definitely can't lose this, especially at home.
Yeah.
I'm going to be optimistic. I'll go for a 2-1. Even though I think it'll be a draw, I'm going to tip a 2-1 for United.
Yeah, and you're right. If you do win that game, you will jump them on by 1 point. So it's a huge, huge clash.
Yep.
Is the Old Trafford factor something that I think is going to help you? Yes or no? I don't think so. I do expect to see West Ham try to make a statement here, because I don't have enough confidence in United's play that they've put their past demons behind them. And as a result, I think it'll actually be a bit of not a ball draw, but I reckon a 1-1 draw in the end. Tough game for both. Probably a little bit conservative. So I think a 1-1 draw in the end.
I actually think West Ham won't be scared. I actually think West Ham will come out and have a go. So I'm just worried if they score first, then we're going to have to react. So I'll take a 1-0. I'll take any kind of win in this game because it's that important. But like I said, with us, I don't want West Ham to come out and dominate possession, especially, and we have to come from behind to get a result kind of thing.
I just think normally I'd agree about West Ham playing with a bit more confidence based on their overall season, but because of the last couple of games have been a little bit shaky, and they know the situation in terms of their top 4 chase at the moment, knowing a loss to you guys puts them behind you, I think that might also play in the back of their minds as to how much do we really want to go for this versus making sure we don't lose. So I don't know, bit over psychoanalyzing it, but hopefully for all of us, it's a very good game to watch. A game that I'm expecting quietly to be enjoyable on the eye is Manchester City versus Southampton. Now, we know the tough game Southampton gave City last time, earlier in the season. And while City, the perennial front runners of the Premier League and, the $1 to win it this season, at St. Mary's and the way Southampton play, anything could happen. I still expect City to win, but I think it's going to be a bit closer than what people may be giving it credit for. So I'll go with my result first. I think it'll be 2-1 to City. What about yourself, Rob?
I'm just going to be quick on this one. 3-0 City.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think...
Any tips for goal scorers, mate? You sound confident.
No, I am. I think City's going to, again, come out. And I think they're just going to get the job done. I reckon it could be 2-3 goals up by half-time and then maybe take the accelerator off. Look, Pep Roulette, mate, I'm not going to give you goal scorers because it's hard enough just to pick that 11. So picking the goal scorer is a bit harder.
It's hard enough picking that midfield. Don't worry about all the defence. Don't worry about the 11. But Tom makes a good point here about their record. So
I just don't think they're going to slip. That's the only thing. I don't think I'm going to be slipping for most of the season. So I'll be amazed if it's against Southampton.
It's funny because obviously the start of the campaign, all the hype was on Chelsea and how good their run was. And City actually started off quite slowly, which isn't unusual for them in recent seasons. But when they start getting a roll on, they're quite hard as a juggernaut to slow down. But they have shown this season that they're not perfect. They do have some weaknesses in them. It's just like Arsenal, how they took it to them at home, albeit City were obviously playing a couple of days earlier and were a lot less fresh. If you play with enough confidence and conviction, you can really start to scare them a little bit. So it'll just be interesting to see just how pragmatic Southampton is for this match, because we know that they're a high-pressing team and we know that they've got some really dangerous players if they can all click on the same time. So I just hope Southampton, for all the neutral's sake, can do some sort of miracle and at least drop them points, please.
That's what I think City will be thinking about as well. Like I said, there's a couple of top, in that, not that we're in the same conversation, but a couple of the big six are playing together against each other this week. So, there's a chance for them to open up the gap more. Liverpool, that could be a hard game against Palace. We'll get to that. But if Liverpool don't get a result there, again, without their AFCON stars, and City do get a result against Southampton, then, like I said, they really have got one hand on the trophy.
Is Scott coming up with a wonderful insight prediction here, or is this almost a pretty safe bet? It's almost a pretty safe bet, isn't it, in a way?
Yes, it is. Like, you could see him not losing. You could see him obviously having a few draws here, dropping points, but I
think it just depends on the way they are in other competitions.
Exactly.
Like if they're way ahead of everybody, I can see them picking players that are not going to risk fatigue for Champions League and other things. So we'll see. Yeah, but in terms of Crystal Palace, Liverpool, we all know that they've played some very memorable games over recent seasons. This will be very, very interesting, I've got to say, because yes, we expect Liverpool to win. They picked up the 3-0 win the other day, but they will have a very tough game, you'd think, coming up against Arsenal. It'll be interesting to see who starts for that versus for this game, and if there's any injuries. But I think this is going to be a bit tighter than a straightforward Liverpool win. So I think in the end, Liverpool will do just enough, and I reckon it'll be 2-1. How about yourself, Robbie?
I don't know. I just got a funny feeling Palace are going to get a result here. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
I hope so, mate. I hope you're right.
I don't know why. Like I said, I know they got I think it was 3-0 or whatever against Brentford last week, but
yeah,
they're a little bit like, they're one of those teams without their Manes and their Salahs and
huge losses.
They are massive losses for them, man. I can see Palace again at home on their day can beat anyone. We've definitely seen that before. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this one.
There's a player I just want to highlight that Diaz brought up. Conor Gallagher didn't play his best the other day, but at least he took his moment. So he has shown this season that he's a player that's just risen up like a phoenix from the ashes and just really starting to show just how much quality there is, because even himself acknowledged that he didn't play well all round, but in the big moments he can still come up clutch. So it wouldn't surprise me again if he gets another assist or a goal, because he's just in that kind of run at the moment. And obviously, from my point of view, long may that good form continue, because I think he's definitely a player that we're going to recall back in the summer. Now, the battle of the underwhelming teams, you've got the relegation battlers Burnley, and also the other team that probably belongs with them, Scott, Arsenal. This should be a straightforward result here. Burnley very desperate, of course, got a couple of games in hand to get themselves out of that perennial drop zone. But if I'm being brutally honest, I can't see anything other than an Arsenal win here. Robbie, what do you think?
I agree. And just quickly on Burnley, they're 5 games behind. I just don't understand where they're going to fit all these games. 5 games. Like I was saying, it's crazy how people are 2-3 games behind where they're going to fit all these games in. 5 games behind, mate. That's a lot. They're gonna, if they don't catch up on them soon, and more could be postponed. Like I just don't understand where all these. They're gonna be playing literally every 1 or 2 days at a point. So anyway, yeah. Look, I think this is gonna be an Arsenal win, especially at home. This is a game Arsenal need to win as well. If they want top 4 this year, they need to win games like this. I'll go 2-0 to the Arsenal as well.
Alex has come up with a very sensible tip here.
He's not a Spurs fan, is he?
I'm not sure if it's Spurs influence. He's just being totally impartial, of course. Diaz has gone with a 3-0 win. That's pretty convincing, I've got to say. And Martin, he's put his Tottenham bias to the side. 1-0 win, I should say. I think it'll be 2-0 to the Gunners. I just struggle to see where Burnley pick up these goals from.
Especially about Chris Wood as well.
Yeah, again, he's not a top player, but at least he was finding the back of the net for them. So, yeah, they're in a real struggle situation at the moment, Burnley. So, very interesting indeed. So, I locked in a 2-0. Then a couple of games to round out before the international break. Leicester City, the Tottenham bottlers in disguise versus Brighton at the King Power. So
they're playing again.
Apparently so. Leicester and Brighton. Yeah. Well, obviously Leicester lost this morning, and Brighton we had the 1-1 draw with.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I thought I had a brain snap there. There was Leicester Tottenham this one. My bad. Sorry, bro.
Yeah. But what do you think about this? Because obviously Leicester, again, they're on track for a very good win against Tottenham, even though they weren't playing very well. Absolutely bottle jobbed it in that last minute. And Brighton coming off the back of a very spirited performance against Chelsea. So I don't know. How do you see this one playing out?
Straight down the middle, man. I'm going to sit on the fence for this one. But I actually think it's going to be entertaining. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
Okay.
Can't pick them apart. Because actually, look, if I was to pick a winner, I actually think Brighton could get this over the line. But I can't also say at the same time, Leicester losing 2 on the bounce at home. I think that'll be bad for them. So I'm going to straight down the middle, 2-2 draw. Yeah,
like I said, it's interesting because I expect Brighton probably to dominate a little bit more of the play. Leicester's defence is in tatters at the moment, but Brighton, similar to us, just aren't really good at chance conversion. So I wonder how much of their dominance that they'll capitalise. Every time I want to pick Leicester, they just really let me down every single time. So yeah, I'm going to go straight down the middle, but I'm going to go 1-1 in the end. It's going to be one of those kinds of matches, I think. So I think Scotty's got 1-1 here. So we'll see what happens there. Marty, it must be the 1-1 kind of result for this one. So very, very interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like a very even game.
I think so. You know what it is? I think you probably have more confidence with how Brighton are going to turn up. You just can get a very rocks and diamonds from Leicester because on their day, they're very good in attack and they can match any team. But that defense, like we saw this morning, 2 goals in the space of a minute, that was atrocious. Like Kane just split them right open and Bergwijn, as we saw, clever finishes. But arguably the match of the round, I know I've got the most interest in it from my point of view. can Chelsea avoid this building narrative of a crisis in paradise for Thomas Tuchel and bounce back against the enemy who we've just beat to get into Wembley for the Carabao Cup final? Or will Conte use the momentum from this morning to cause his first upset against his old club? So it's a very interesting storyline, whatever way you look at it. But at Stamford Bridge, hopefully Trevor Chalobah coming back, Christensen maybe as well. If our team can't get up for this match against a rival after what they've dished up the last couple of games, anything other than a 3 points is a total failure. I've got to be honest, that's the standards. And we've shown over 2 legs that we can beat them. They haven't got our number, but they're going to be buoyed. It'll be tough, but I still think we'll do enough to get the all-important 3 points heading into the international round and put me down for a 2-1 to Chelsea. How about yourself, Robbie?
Again, man, I really can't pick this one. If it wasn't for the worst, it's a terrible time, and I go back to work on Monday, so I'm all good past my COVID now. So we're finally returned to work. So I don't think I'll be getting up at 3:30 Monday morning, unfortunately. But I will catch the game later on the day. But look, I can see a one.
Don't worry about work, Rob. Don't worry, mate. This is Chelsea Tottenham, mate. Come on.
I know. We'll see how we go. But look, I think a 1-1 draw. I just depends who scores first in this game. To be honest, if Tottenham get an early one, they could go on with it. If Chelsea get an early one, there could be a blowout. So, look, I think the sensible thing for me, 1-1 for me. I guess both don't want to lose, but look, only because I can't go Chelsea comfortably because of their in their last 11 games they haven't really put anyone away.
We've won 3 out of our last 11 Premier League
Exactly,
games.
and there's been how many draws in there? There hasn't been a lot of losses. There've been a lot of draws in there.
Had more draws than a furniture shop, mate.
Exactly.
Seriously.
So look, for me, I'm gonna go draw. I'll go 1-1 in this one. I don't think Conte will want to lose either, especially at the Bridge. Even though he did the other week.
You know what though? Football's funny about how quickly the mood can change. Because a week ago, we played Spurs off the park. Even in the first game I'm talking about, where we took the 2-0 win, should have been 4 or 5-0. Then we won the next game, and we didn't even play very well at 3 Point Lane. I mean, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, sorry. And it just, then they got that win this morning against Leicester, who collapsed. And all of a sudden, we're getting all this optimism that they're going to come here and take it to us now. So
it's the opposite, exactly the same. And what happened with you guys yesterday?
We lost to City. We've drawn to Brighton.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's the thing. Funny. It's so up and down. Those teams at the moment, they're not consistent. They're just consistently inconsistent. So yeah, for me, 1-1.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. I think there'll be a lot of eyes on Tuchel and his team selection. And does he persist with Lukaku? Is he going to start going with the 2 up top and maybe bringing in the German wonder pair in Timo Werner and Kai Havertz? Do we look to maybe to drop Kante, maybe look for the Jovicic pairing to try to get a little bit more progression with our passing? It's going to be very interesting to look at that lineup, and hopefully it's just a very exciting game. And for all of the Chelsea chat about Conte and the way he left us and everything, I'll always still have fond memories of what he did for us and the way he won that Premier League that season and revolutionised the back 3 under his sort of stewardship. So it'll be nice to see him back at the Bridge, and I hope that he gets a nice reception, but I hope we ultimately send him home with a frown and we get all 3 points. But that's that, Robbie. We've got now the fun part of the evening. The much loved, the much famed, the reason why people are here. The quick fires, and I've told you without Scott being here, it's going to be, from my point of view, a Cobra Kai quick fire round. But did you have any you had prepared, or do you want me to fire away?
This is the first time I haven't. This is my first time. I'm blanked for one, so I'll try and maybe get one in my head, a really random one, but I'll listen to yours first.
All right. Well, in the spirit of Cobra Kai, I'll strike first, strike hard. So
I like it.
It's going to be real quick fire. Okay. First up. Tory or Sam?
Sam.
Okay. Robbie or McGill?
Ooh, I have to say I did like Robbie, but yeah, I'll go Robbie on this one.
Okay. Daniel or Johnny?
In this series, I'll go Johnny.
Overall?
Like, are you talking about from the Karate Kid and everything?
No, just Cobra Kai. Because they're the same character, so
I'm
the storyline still
I'm gonna
follows.
go Johnny. I told you I really rate his character. I'm gonna go Johnny. Quick fire.
Okay. And John Creese or Terry Silver?
Terry Silver was only in this one, but I'll go Crease. I like how he just had that little bit of a soft spot right at the end of this the season.
You mean when he let Thing fight without being dirty?
Exactly right, man. Just like I could see something. I don't know. I can see him being good or turning good or helping out Johnny in this next one. He's going to go to. Well, spoiler alert. Look,
Too bad. That's it.
He's got. They've had enough time to watch. He's got taken away. I don't know. The thing I should ask as a quick fire back to you, as out of nowhere, who do you think Miguel's dad is?
Who you think? Oh, because he used to go to Mexico now, doesn't he? Chase his dad.
There's been some rumors on some people that could be his dad from the previous ones, or do you think there could be an appearance from Hilary Swank?
Could be. It'd be interesting. But let me go back to my last quick fire. So you said John Creese. My last one on this. Who's your favourite dojo? Miyagi-Do, Cobra Kai, or Eagle Fang?
I've got to go Miyagi-Do for this one.
Very good.
You didn't give me any of your answers, though. I wanted to know all
right, I'll give you my answers. So I'll go Tori, Robbie, Daniel, Just. I'll go Miyagi-Do, John Creese.
Pretty half.
There's something about John Creese, even with his aggression. I just love his mannerisms and the way he rocked up at the party that time to Terry Silver's house. He's all polite and stuff. It's like, that's not you, mate. So he's just a good actor.
The Tory Sam one was a hard one, but I think I will go for Sam in the end.
Yeah, fair call. What's your question, mate?
Ooh, I'm going to be boring. Favorite brand for shoes?
Okay, I'll go with Onitsuka, the Tigers.
Tigers? Ooh, I like that. I might go with I got my Adidas ones. Come the exact ones. They're kind of my red ones I wear. They're like the casual, football going ones. But while we're on brands, favorite brand of sunglasses? Or sorry, maybe the brand you wear currently at the moment. Then, if it's a bit easier.
Country Roads. I've got some nice Country Roads.
I got Carrera. I used to have my Versace's. I'll try and go one more for brands. Favorite, if you could pick any of the top designer for fashion, which one would you buy first? Out of like your Louis, your Versace, Prada's, all that, what would you go for? And if money wasn't a question.
To be honest with you, I'm not too sure because in my world, money is a big question. I've got to be honest, but I don't know. To be honest, I like Tommy Hilfiger's. I like the Polo brand. I wear a lot of polos. I think they're good.
All right,
how about yourself?
If money wasn't a thing, I've always been a Versace fan. I always like Versace.
Yeah, I've just got to answer this football question from Master Yoda. It's nice to see you. He actually has a statement about what Lukaku gone. Ignore him. So just on that, we spoke a little bit before. My perspective on that is I just want to wait to see how we go to the end of the season. He's 100 million investment. I just want to see what's best for the team. And we all know what he can bring, especially what he did at Inter. Do we maximize his strengths? That's debatable, but he's also got to meet us halfway. Whatever it is, I just want to see him being the investment we paid for. I don't want him to love the club. I just want him to deliver on the score sheet. And I just hope Tuchel and the others can start really working together because if we want to achieve anything this season, he's going to be part of it, I think, because it's too expensive to just put on the sidelines. So we'll see. But that wraps us up, ladies and gentlemen. We do have Scott coming back with us on Tuesday. We have Toon Review, I believe, joining us as a special guest for talking all things Newcastle. We didn't really talk much about transfers, Rob. So before we plug this for this episode, did you have any updates from United's perspective about any rumours or anything, any outgoings potentially?
Look, for incomings, I stand. There's been much of the same. I think for outgoings, there's a lot of rumours. Obviously, Jesse Lingard, you're just talking about Newcastle. He's been linked to a loan, which makes no sense. But Newcastle's apparently in for him. Again, West Ham whispering for him. Anthony Martial, look, if he stays or goes, who knows? There's been so much controversy with him in the last week. But
Well, we saw it, didn't we? Apparently not turning up.
Italy, apparently Juventus are interested. Again, it's just the wages are a bit of an issue at the moment. But I am hearing Juventus are, there's a little bit of traction coming out from Di Matteo from saying that they're interested for him for a loan and possible buy. But again, that could be just whispers. And just a quick one, I know Scott is in here for Arsenal as well. Juventus, it looks like there's a bit of traction for Arthur from Juventus to Arsenal. That could I could see that maybe happening. I think if they can get someone in to replace him, it'll definitely happen. But I think they've got more chance of getting Arthur than Vlahovic.
Well, I've also, between our two clubs, Rob, I know from a midfield perspective, there's that conversation still about Aurelien Tchouameni from Monaco. That continues for me. I've made no surprise or secrets about wanting to strengthen that midfield position just because of trying to plan for the long term. Kante is not going to be running at the Kante levels forever, so we need to plan for life without him. Jorginho's agent continuously flaunts with the idea about going back to Italy. So I really want us to start planning for life without either or both of those two. So someone like a Tchouameni, Declan Rice is still very expensive, so I don't know if the club will want to commit, especially with the post 146 million tax losses plus the 100 million investment in Lukaku. So Tchouameni, younger, represents the more cost-effective option. But you guys have also been touted as pursuing him. I know also who else was there for us. I know, Pogba apparently, they were saying, I was reading up earlier, wants to run down his contract and go to Real Madrid. That's potentially on the cards.
I've heard for us, MP for him, so who knows with him.
Yeah. For us, Christensen increasingly looks likely to be on the outer. Rudiger's a 50-50 at this age. Everybody I've spoken to or read online, they are optimistic, but they don't want to be too invested. That's why there is big talk of bringing Jules Koundé in. So we'll have to see. But it's going to be very interesting. 10 days, 11 days left in the window. Who knows what's going to happen? But I can't see too many dramatic moves just because who really wants to lose any key players right in the middle of the season? It has to be monumental sort of offers to make those things happen. But any last thoughts before we wrap this up, my man?
No, look, I think we've done all right for the dynamic duo tonight. Missing a certain man, but look, it'll be good to have him back on Tuesday's show. And let's hope the results go in all our teams' way this week.
Yeah, let's hope. Hopefully not for Tottenham, that is. Just kidding, Martin, guys. It's all good. We're all good friends here. We have missed Scott, but we have really enjoyed your company. Again, if you haven't had an opportunity, please like the video. Leave a comment afterwards because it really helps us jump the queue and reach that wider audience. We are fast approaching our 1 year anniversary and also our 100th episode. So hopefully we can have a pretty awesome episode for that when we get around to it. But again, we're chasing that 500 subscriber mark. Feel free to share with your friends and help us reach a wider audience. But until then, stay safe, enjoy your evening, and enjoy a weekend of the beautiful game.
Ciao.